Listen. Come closer. Let me tell you a story, not of strangers, but of people like us. Because this is not just the story of one family. It is the story of many homes where silence sits at the table like an elder, and no one dares to question it. In the land of Enugu, where red earth stains the feet and respect is older than memory, there lived a family known by all. The Okafors. Ah, the Okafors. People said, that is a good home. They said, their children are well trained. They said, peace lives in that house. But my people, hear this and hear it well, hand pointing right, not every quiet house is a peaceful one. No one ever warned Nneka that truth could sound like betrayal. They teach you growing up that truth sets people free. That honesty is light. That lies are darkness. But no one tells you what happens when truth walks into a living room and sits down between people who have spent years pretending not to see it. The Okafor family had perfected pretending. From the outside, they were admired, respected, envied, even. The kind of family neighbors pointed at and said, that's a good home. Their house sat on a quiet street in Enugu, 2 floors, cream-colored walls, trimmed hedges, a gate that never squeaked. Inside were framed family portraits, birthdays, graduations, weddings. Smiling faces frozen in time, proof that happiness had once been rehearsed well enough to look real. But beneath the polished floors and polite laughter lived a silence so carefully maintained that even the walls seemed trained not to speak. Some things were simply not discussed. Everyone knew that. Especially Nneka. She was the second child, the quietly intelligent one, the daughter who listened more than she spoke. Growing up, she had learned early that silence was rewarded. Ask too many questions and the room changed. Push too hard and smiles vanished. So she learned to observe instead. She noticed how her father, Mr. Emeka Okafor, stiffened whenever the village of Omuok was mentioned. How her mother, Mrs. Ifunanya Okafor, avoided conversations about inheritance. How her older brother Kunal defended their father too quickly, too fiercely. And how her father's only sister, Moreo, stopped visiting years ago. No one explained why. They didn't have to. Silence did the explaining. The first crack appeared when Nneka was 19. She had overheard a late-night argument, voices low but sharp, like knives wrapped in cloth. You promised, her mother whispered angrily. There was no other way, her father replied. And the children? They don't need to know. Nneka had stood frozen at the top of the stairs, heart pounding, the words need to know echoing in her chest. From that night on, she noticed things she had once ignored. Why the land in Omuok, her grandfather's land, was never mentioned during family discussions. Why official documents disappeared into her father's drawer and never came out. Why her mother's eyes carried a tiredness that sleep never cured. Years later, after university, Nneka took a job in Lagos. Distance sharpened her curiosity instead of dulling it. Away from the daily rhythm of family life, she had space to think. Why her aunt and her father doesn't see eye to eye. Why grandpa land was the bone of contention. Why the property was never shared. Why the enmity. And when you give truth enough space, it starts to breathe. It started as something small. A casual conversation with a colleague whose father worked in land administration. A joke about family land wahala. A laugh that faded too quickly. That night, Nneka couldn't sleep. The next week, she took a day off. She went to the land registry. She told herself she was only curious. That she just wanted peace of mind. That she would walk away the moment it felt wrong. But truth has a way of pulling you forward once it has your attention. The clerk flipped through records slowly, bored, unaware that each page tightened something around Nneka's chest. Then he stopped. "This transfer," he said. "It's unusual." Unusual. The word sat heavily between them. The land had never been sold. It had been transferred. Signed by a man who, at the time, was already gravely ill. Witnessed by people who were no longer alive. Nneka felt cold. "Are you sure?" she asked. The clerk nodded. "Very sure." That was the moment silence lost its power over her. The Okafor family gathered every Sunday. It was tradition. Non-negotiable. Food was prepared early. Plates arranged carefully. Conversation kept light. Safe. That Sunday evening, the smell of jollof rice filled the house. The ceiling fan hummed softly. Kunal talked about work. Their mother smiled politely. Their father nodded at the news playing quietly in the background. Everything looked normal. Nneka stared at her plate. Her heart was pounding. She could still choose peace. She could swallow the truth like she had swallowed so many things before. But once truth reaches your throat, swallowing feels like choking. "I went to the land registry," Nneka said. The words dropped like glass. Her mother's spoon froze mid-air. Kunal stopped chewing. Her father didn't look up. For what, her mother asked, smiling too quickly. Nneka raised her head. "I wanted to confirm something." Silence. "The land in Umuk," she continued. "The one Grandpa supposedly sold." Her father's eyes lifted slowly. They were calm. Too calm. "Nneka," he said, "this is not dinner conversation." "But it's family conversation," she replied. "And it's overdue." Kunal shifted in his seat. "Please. Let us eat." "I can't," Nneka said. "Not anymore." Her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. "The land was never sold," she said. "It was taken." Her mother gasped. "That's a lie," her father snapped. "Who filled your head with this nonsense?" "The records," Nneka said. "And Grandpa's lawyer. He's still alive." Her father stood. "Enough." But Nneka stood too. "That land belonged to all of us," she said. "To Auntie Moreo, to Uncle Siddiq's children. You built this life while they struggled." Kunal slammed the table. "Do you want to destroy this family?" Nneka's eyes filled with tears. "Why?" she asked softly. "Is peace only possible when I stay silent?" Her mother broke down. "We did it to survive," she cried. "Your father was desperate." "And what about the rest of the family?" Nneka asked. Her father's voice dropped dangerously low. "If you speak," he said, "everything we built will collapse." That was the choice. Truth. Or peace. That night, Nneka lay awake staring at the ceiling. Her phone lay beside her. One message. One call. One decision. She imagined two futures. In one, she stayed quiet. The family remained intact. Smiles returned. Sunday dinners continued. But the silence would grow heavier. In the other, she spoke. There would be anger. Loss. Division. Pain. But also, honesty. By morning, she knew. Peace built on lies is not peace. It is fear dressed as harmony. She made the call. The truth did not explode. It leaked. Slowly. Painfully. Lawyers got involved. Relatives resurfaced. Old wounds reopened. Her father refused to speak to her. Kunal moved out. Her mother aged visibly. There were days Nneka cried herself to sleep, wondering if she had made a mistake. But then letters came. Auntie Moreo received her share. Children returned to school. Long silenced voices were finally heard. Months later, her mother visited her. "You were right," she said quietly. "Peace that demands silence is just fear." They sat together. Not healed, but honest. The Okafor family was no longer whole. But it was no longer built on a lie. And Nneka learned something most people never dare to learn: truth may divide a family, but lies rot it from the inside. Sometimes, choosing truth means losing peace. And sometimes, that loss is the only way to finally breathe. What moral lesson did you learn from this story? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel as I bring more interesting stories your way.